Welcome to Fly on the Wall podcast. I'm your host, Chris Sonksen, CEO and founder of Church Boom. Here you get to sit in on a live coaching session as I coach pastors through the ministry challenges we all face. If you find this podcast helpful, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hey, thanks for joining the podcast today. We are talking to my good buddy, Travis, and we are talking about recognizing blind spots in your life, but also how to recognize blind spots and address them in your team's life and their ministry. So it's a great conversation. I think you're going to really love it. Also, I want to encourage you to check out churchboom.org. If you've never signed up for Church Boom University, go find that at churchboom.org. Church Boom University is a place where you can get master classes for you and your team on how to develop leaders, how to create generosity in the church, just a ton of stuff from myself, Sam Cham, and many others. And also you get a platform where you can talk to each other online, ask questions, and grow together. You get resources sent to you, books sent to you quarterly. So it's just a great ongoing learning platform. So check out Church Boom University by going to churchboom.org. Let's jump into today's coaching conversation. Well, let's jump into the time today, man. How can I serve you? What's on your mind? Let's jump into
it. Just a few questions. First question is, what are a few key leadership skills pastors often overlook but should develop?
Oh, man, good question.
Yeah, tough one.
Look at you. You're coming in hot with the hot questions.
I'm seasoned. I've been watching you, brother.
Yeah. Okay, few leadership skills that are often overlooked. That's what we're talking about? Okay.
Yep, that should be developed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll come at it from no specific order. First thing is, I think often when I work with pastors, because we do executive coaching and we do coaching for churches of 20 people all the way up to, I think the biggest probably is 15,000. So we do a lot of coaching and a lot of helping with all the different lanes we have. One thing I've really noticed, Travis, is I often feel like pastors don't see far enough ahead to make the changes they need to make before they need to be made. So I would say the ability, one is just the ability to know when that bell curve is coming. You have to know when if we don't make some changes, we're going to flatten out. Part of that also includes, sometimes I think pastors don't see and understand the leap they need to make in their leadership. A church that gets to 400 or 500, the focus of the pastor, the priority of the pastor, the mission critical of the pastor changes. Then he gets to 1,000, and then it changes again, and it's constantly changing. What they focused on to get them to 500 isn't going to get them to 1,000. They're still operating like they're a church of 200. And so where they spend their time, where they spend their energy, who they spend time with, I think those things become quite a big issue in the leadership skills. So the ability to look ahead, the ability to make changes where they're at in what they're doing. Sometimes I'll talk to a pastor that's running a church of 1,000. I'm like, dude, you're spending your time like you're a church of 200. You can't spend time over here. You have to spend time over here. You can't focus over here. You got to focus over here. And they don't do that. And I think that would become part of the other thing, is part of a bigger deal. The third part would be the ability to identify and raise up talent.
Yes.
The church will never go farther than the top 3 or 4 people around you. Take the 3 or 4 people closest to you. That's as far as probably the church will go. And it's getting the high level. It's identifying the talent and then being able to develop that talent to that next level. I don't know if you ever read the book. I'm a big fan of the book called Who, Not How. Who, Not How is a book that's all about the who's in your life and having those people close to you. So that would be another thing. Just getting the right people around you is another skill set that I think pastors seem to lack at times. So where they focus, where they put their energy, where they put their time, who they're putting them around, who, and identifying the people around them and who they're putting around them and raising those people up is another big one. And being able to see far enough ahead to know the bell curve is coming. Bell curve being you're going to flatten out if you don't make some changes. And
Right,
that's why I
right.
think churches get stuck at certain spots. That stuck could be 300, it could be 1,000, whatever. But they end up getting stuck because they don't see that the ability to see the changes that need to happen before anybody else sees them. So those are just a few. I don't know if you want to jump into some more
Right.
thoughts, but those are a few off the top of my head.
Well, let me ask this. How do you like what does that conversation look like to that leader that gets you to 500, say in a department head, whether it's with your youth, worship, whatever that looks like, and then God sends you a higher level leader, capacities greater. What does the conversation look like to be able to replace that person or to um, make some changes in order to experience the growth that God's wanting to give you? So, what does that typically like that conversation? Because with me, I love people. And so, when it comes to confrontation and really having those tough conversations, how do you navigate that? What does that look like? And how do you not have them go out and burn your church down? You know what I mean? Because they're offended.
Yeah. So you're talking about when you need to replace someone. Am I correct on that? When you need to replace someone? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Correct, correct. Yeah, yes, because their capacity isn't what it needs to be
Mm-hmm.
able to support the growth that God's wanting to do.
Yeah. So a
And
couple
so,
thoughts. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
and what does that look like as far as being able to shepherd their soul, their feelings, and their emotions in such a way that it ends well for everyone?
Okay. So several thoughts on that because you're in the same predicament that everybody gets into. Because not only what got you here won't get you there, who got you here
Correct.
won't get you there. I'm not saying that's always that way. So, a few thoughts that I tell whenever I'm coaching a staff. I just did this recently, and where was I at? I don't know. I think I was in Texas somewhere or something. I told the staff, and I said, "Hey, um, this church is growing. This church is moving up. We're adding multi-site, all that stuff. You need to keep up with it." Because if you don't keep up with it, worship leader, children's pastor, whoever, if you don't keep up with it, then you're going to force the pastor to have a difficult conversation with you. You got to keep up with the growth. So it's the first thing I always tell teams because I think to be unclear is to be unkind. And
Correct.
some people say, man, that sounds like a really harsh statement. Like, whoa, you got to keep up. Or I think that's actually a really wonderful and kind statement because I don't want to lose you. But I need you to keep up. I need you to get coaching on a regular basis. I need you to read books on a regular basis. I need you to get help on you need to get better. Your trajectory's got to get better or we're going to have a problem. So that's one thing I'd always say. The warning behind that is you love people. You said I love people. And that's awesome. But if you're not careful, you'll choose friendship over leadership. When you choose friendship over leadership, it's where I don't want to hurt their feelings. And because I don't want to hurt their feelings, I'm not going to have that tough conversation. And so
Right.
the friendship becomes more important than the leadership and the direction of the church. And I'm not saying friendship's not important, and I'm not saying having friends is not important, but
Right.
you
Right.
can't
Right.
put that friendship over the entire, like, let it prioritize over the entire organization. You just can't do that.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to be careful not to do that and be willing because here's the thing. The worst thing you can do for your strong team members is to tolerate a weak one. You don't want to continue to tolerate. You're going to have the tough conversation. You asked, how can I have the conversation and it all end up okay? It's not always going to end up okay.
Yeah. So the statement I made at the beginning of the year, you can't go with me if you're unwilling to grow with me.
Yep,
Um,
that's it.
wasn't insensitive. It was just very honest and truthful. But it
There
seemed
you
kind
go.
of
Yep.
hard. It was kind of a hard statement at the time
Yep.
because I want everybody to go with me. But you and I both know that that's not.
Sure.
grounded in reality. And so, yeah,
No, but I love your statement. I love your statement about
I
that
said it with
because you're
attitude as
right.
well.
Some people would. Well, yeah, but it's to me, it's not a harsh thing. To me, it's a kind thing. At least you're telling them.
I did.
You're, yeah. At least you're warning them. But you you gotta keep putting great talent around you, and hopefully your current talent can keep up. And if they can't keep up, then they, that's a difficult situation. But you don't want to be. I always tell people, man, you may be one tough conversation away from a breakthrough.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
for you, but you just got to be careful with that. So anyway, hopefully that helps.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always helps. Second thing is, what trends do you see coming in the church and church leadership, and how should pastors prepare for them?
What
What
trends? Is that
trends
what you
do you
said?
see?
Okay.
Yeah, what trends do you see coming in church leadership, and how should pastors prepare for them?
Yeah. Well, one of the things, couple things, I have thoughts on that. First is I think the up and coming generation, Gen Z, there's a turn back to church in some generations, in the younger generation for some reason. But however, that turn back to church is all centered around authenticity and the ability to
Yes.
meet needs. It's
Yes.
not just about feeding the homeless and passing out backpacks, which for some reason seems to be the Christian thing to do, but but it's about, man, how do we meet needs in the community? How do we love our community? And that could be repainting the teachers lounge at the local elementary school,
Yeah.
or, I don't know, doing something for Parks and Rec, or doing something for the first responders room that they wait in, and giving them a new flat screen and a refrigerator, and repainting and giving them a new couch. Like, how do we meet the need? There's something powerful. I talk about that in Indispensable Church. You mentioned that
Yes.
when it first came on, but it's something powerful when we begin to be authentic and transparent in the community, that I think that the younger generation definitely holds true to. They want the church to be authentic. They want it to be transparent. They want it to meet causes, very cause driven. And I think we have to be sensitive to that. That would be one thing. Secondly, is I do feel that pastors more than ever need to be a little bit more entrepreneurial than they used to be. Um, how do we grow? How do we develop? How do we go multi-site? How do we deal with contracts? How do we deal with bigger things? How do we not just be Sunday morning offering plate driven? Is there other ways to create greater resources? Because I always say the battles won or lost in the resources. I think that's another thing that when I'm looking at pastors that are taken off, they have seemed to tap into that entrepreneur spirit and figuring out how to grow this thing, not only from a spiritual standpoint, of course, led by God, of course, but fostering that gift that maybe is inside of them to be able to do that as well. Because being only Sunday morning plate driven, if you will, offering plate driven, can sometimes be a challenge. And to be able to think like creatively and outside of the box and think of different ways of doing things, I think that's a fantastic way for pastors to get ahead of the trends.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why I own my own business as well.
Oh,
I'm an
that's awesome.
entrepreneur. Yeah, yeah. I own a inflatable franchise, and so
Uh,
I wanted to be the church that had all the cool inflatable water slides, the giant things, and then it turned into a business, and it's got me out in the community, man. And I meet families and stuff, and so yeah, definitely resonates with me, because we need to use the talents, gifts, and abilities that God's given us, not just within the church, but in the
yeah,
marketplace as well, and really resourcing our entrepreneurs to really lean on basic biblical finance principles to grow their life. And once they
yeah.
start seeing value, once we start as a church and a body of believers start adding value uh, Monday through Saturday, you don't have to worry about the Sunday morning plate. It's going to be there. The offering will be there.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Hey,
I know.
real quick. I'm just cracking up. We'll go to your question. inflatable sporting equipment. When I was in my late 20s and early 30s, I owned probably 30 and 35 pieces.
Yeah,
Water slide, joust,
so
bungee run.
that's why. So we're long lost. We're connected. We're brothers. I sent four back yesterday. I had a UPS driver ask me, said, "Hey, you setting that up for the kids?" I said, "No, I'm the pastor, and I'm sending them back, man. They're so heavy." But
They
no, it's
are heavy. Yeah.
and so that's wild, man. That's awesome. That
Yep.
I thought I was the only one. Yeah. So the
Yeah.
growth, the stewardship, everything that we've been doing, I've been doing bivocational for 10 years, Pastor Chris. I
Wow.
mean, hitting
Wow.
that
Yeah.
grind. Yeah, I was in construction, owned my own construction
Yep.
business, and needed something that would free me up a little bit to be able to steward the church a little bit better. And so, inflatables, I drop them off Friday, pick them up Monday, meet families, and I'm wore out, brother, wore out.
Oh
And
man, I know.
man,
I did it.
so
I had
you know
35
exactly.
pieces. Yeah. Yep.
Oh man,
Oh, dude,
so
it's
awesome.
backbreaking.
I've
Those
already
things are
had
heavy.
surgery.
Yeah.
I've already had surgery on my shoulder. I finally, used a little bit of wisdom and bought a rolling machine for the inflatables in case your listeners get the wrong idea. But yeah, yeah. So
That's
definitely
hilarious.
love the entrepreneurial lane,
Yeah.
and just really impacting people's daily lives with the
Mm.
truth and the power of God's word when it comes to growing our finances and marriages and all that
Yeah.
good stuff. I know they one more, and I know you're
Yep.
busy. You got to get on from
Yep.
this crazy country boy from North Florida. Question
That's
number
good.
3:
Yes, sir.
how do you help pastors identify blind spots in their leadership?
Mm. Wow. Yeah, that's funny. Helping people identify blind spots means that you
Yeah,
see them and they
we
don't.
don't see them. We don't
Yeah.
see them, Pastor. We don't see them.
Well, if I don't think it's anything deep. If you're talking about helping pastors identify blind spots, are you talking about you as a pastor to your team, or are you talking about in your own life?
Both. Come on,
Yeah.
let's keep it simple. Let's do it within leadership.
Yeah. Well,
As far as
couple.
within our church.
Yeah. A couple thoughts. First, if I'm looking to identify a blind spot in someone else's life, first thing is if I feel like it's there, I need to show them. Anytime you're identifying someone's blind spot, you need to show them the potential weakness on the other side. Like, here's a trend that I'm seeing in your life. Here's the result of that trend. And this result of that trend means that it needs to be fixed. If it's a blind spot, now you're telling them about something that doesn't exist. In their mind, doesn't exist.
Right.
So I need to show them, hey, have you noticed that people tend to react this way to you? Have you noticed that people tend to sign up for your ministry, but then don't stay really plugged in? Yeah, I've been losing a lot of leaders. Let's talk about the reason that happens. Now we've first established the result, because people don't always remember, people do not buy into the solution until they feel the weight of the problem. So they've got to feel the weight of that problem. Like if I was talking with you, Travis, let's pretend I've been coaching you for a while, and I'm like, hey man, have you noticed that, you say I get staff and I lose them, I get key leaders and I lose them. Let's talk about that. What's happening that's creating that? Now we're entering into a space where I already see the blind spot, but we're entering into a space that you already bought into a little bit with me, because I've helped you notice, or we've identified this weakness or this problem that seems to be happening. And by identifying the weakness and problem that seems to be happening, we're able to get into that solution. The other thing is, I would say, is I have 2 coaches in my life. I get regular coaching. I pay for it because I believe in having someone help me. So one, you have to identify it in other people by showing the result. You got to find common ground. Hey, you keep saying staff keeps leaving or key leaders leave. Let's talk about why. What's the reason for that? Then you're into a conversation where you can identify the blind spot. That's how you do it. You have to go to the negative effect. Start with the negative effect. Start with the problem before you present the solution. Then secondly is, which I always agree, I've had two. For probably the last 22 years, I've had a coach in my life. I have two right now. Why? Because I want someone to constantly tell me what they're seeing in my life that's wrong. What's the problem? We all get blind spots. We're human. But
Sure.
I want someone to tell me. I think you have to seek that out. Some guys go a year or 2 or 3. They don't really have a coach in their life. They have a spiritual mentor, but I think that's, like this older guy that you love and you care about, but you can be honest with, but my spiritual mentors are not guys that grow churches. They're not guys that live in my space. But these two coaches I currently have, they call me out. They live in my space. I'm opening myself to having the blind spot conversation because I've got regular input happening in my life. Not some spiritual mentor that was a professor over here, some old pastor over here, which is awesome because they can be kind of a mentor and a father to you. I'm talking about this right here.
Yes.
People in your life where it's like, dude, here's where the problem is. Here's where the issue is. A lot of guys don't have that. And so they live 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years with these blind spots that could have got corrected if they invited these kind of coaching conversations into their life. I think that's a huge part of allowing ourselves to continue to grow and to deal with the blind spots in our life.
I'm awesome. By the way, you've been coaching me. You just hadn't realized it yet. But
That's why we write books and do all we do.
yes. And I do have that the book that the how or the who not how. It's on my nightstand. So yeah, thank you
Oh,
for
it's a
all
good book.
that. Yeah, thank you for all that you do for the king and for the kingdom for guys like myself that really didn't have a clue as what we're doing, just feeling our way in the dark. And really gleaming on the wisdom and the path that you guys have laid before us so that we can just honor and bring glory to our King, man. I love our community
Amen.
well,
That's
see
awesome, brother.
transformation, on a personal level. But I love you. I appreciate you. You are, we just honor you. Thank you so much. In North Florida, you're the man
Absolutely.
here at City Church.
Well, hey, always here to help, man. Thanks for being on today, man. I really, really do appreciate it, buddy. And we'll talk soon. Have a good day, my
Yes.
man. Okay.
You too.
Yeah. All right, God bless. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Travis talking about blind spots and tons of other things. I hope you really got a lot out of it today. Don't forget to check out churchboom.org and go to the tab that talks about Church Boom University and sign up today. It is an ongoing learning platform for leaders. Get books sent to you, master classes you can watch, stuff for you and your team, incredible topics to deal with that'll help you grow your church and help it reach its maximum potential. So make sure to check out churchboom.org and sign up for Church Boom University, and we will see you next time on the Fly on the Wall podcast.